The lake near my house is my favorite place to go for some isolated relaxation time. I love to lay in the warm sand, soaking up the hot rays of sun that beam down on me from above. When the sand gets too hot, I like to walk in the shallow water, enjoying the crisp, cool sensation on my skin. The lake floor is a soggy, muddy, seaweed-covered mess. Despite this, the water itself is clear. Every step I take away from the shore, the mud squishes between my toes. The loose debris on the surface of the lake floor kicks up around my bare feet. The once clear water awakens with a gust of glittering specks, like an explosive dust storm of lake bottom muck and algae. The dust storm spreads a few meters around me, hiding the secrets hidden beneath the water. The lake floor gives some people the heebie-jeebies. Not me. The mystical muck reminds me of my childhood, back when I was naive to germs and viruses, back when I simply wanted to interact with nature. The lake floor has so much to hide. You know, I found some of my favorite rocks hidden amongst the seaweed where so many fear to venture. Once I even found a fossil, a little rock impressed with the image of a small shell. I had a hole drilled into it, and now it sits around my neck. Holding the little rock between my fingers soothes me when I feel stressed. The texture of the fossil always brings me back to the lake, my safe space. The muddy bottoms does have its treacherous secrets, though. I've accidentally stepped on a large water snake while wandering around the lake. Thankfully, we don't have venomous snakes in my area. The bite delivered by the snake was simply a warning to watch where I'm stepping. Another time, I was walking through a rocky terrain near the edge of the lake. While stepping through a sandy patch between the rocks, I kicked the largest snapping turtle I'd ever seen. It felt like kicking the side of a building. Luckily, the turtle swam away upon impact, instead of choosing to battle it out. A battle I surely would have lost. You do not want to mess with a Canadian snapper. A blue heron sounds above me, pulling me out of my reminiscing. I admire its wingspan and walk mindlessly forward, following the flight path of the shrinking bird. Herons seem like such peaceful creatures, until you witness them devour a chipmunk in one snap of their jaw. Nature can be so beautifully cruel. The heron disappears over the tops of the Muskoka trees. In search of other entertainment, I look down and see a school of baby catfish. I follow them mindlessly deeper into the lake, until they disappear into the tall seaweed. With a sigh, I decide it's time to head back to shore. The sun will be setting soon. Turning on my heel, I step towards the beach. Sharp. It hurts. Instinct kicks in, and I yank my right foot out of the water, screaming prolonged, "Fuck!" I clench my ankle between my hands and pull my foot upwards to better see the cause of my extreme pain. There's a long, deep cut that travels from my toes to my heel. Layers of my skin have been sliced open, exposing my muscles and veins. I scream. It echoes across the empty lake. Blood spits from my foot as I struggle to maintain my balance. The pain is so sharp. I grip my teeth tightly while trying to put pressure on my wound. I stare around frantically in search of a better place to sit down, to analyze the cut. Alas, I'm knee-deep in lake water with a huge cut on my foot. The realization that no one is here to help me in my time of need sets my pulse skyrocketing. I search the beach furiously for another person. No one is around. I feel dizzy. The sound of my pounding heart echoes in my own ears. Of course no one else is here. This is my space of solitude where I come to relax. Fuck, this would happen to me. I mutter between sharp, pain-fueled inhales. It's hard to balance on one foot in the lake. The sun seems to get hotter. Sweat coats my forehead. I feel the legs supporting my full weight begin to quiver. My left hand holds my ankle while my right hand applies pressure to the wound. Blood pours from my foot. Droplets rapidly fall into the lake water, coloring it red. Fuck! I scream again into the distance, while tightening the grip around my bleeding foot. I try to see what I stepped on, but the water is a murky mess of kicked up lake water and blood. Tears pour down my cheeks. I have lost my composure. I hear a scream. It's not mine, but it sounds agonizing. The impact of the sound sends me into action. My best plan is to hop towards shore while keeping my injured foot elevated in my hands. Without a second thought, I take a small, calculated hop towards shore. Immediately, my left foot slams down onto another sharp object. The familiar sensation of my flesh being cut wide open floods my brain with despair. The sharp object I've jumped down onto cuts so deep that it collides with the bones in my feet. My eyes roll back in pain. It feels like my brain has been bitch slapped with adrenaline. It is all-consuming physical and mental anguish. I lose focus and fall backwards into the water heavily. My shoulders are quick to collide with the bottom of the lake. The sharp objects which slice deep into my bare feet greet my shoulders with fury. I can feel the sharp foreign object penetrate my shoulder blades. My screams of pain are lost in the water submerging me. My lungs empty, releasing large bubbles of air that rush to the surface. The water all around me has been discolored with my blood. The cuts in my feet pulsate with pain. My shoulders remain wrapped around the sharp object beneath me. I feel myself grow tired. My eyes close. I begin to accept the inevitable that I will die in the lake I treasure so much. Sleep begins to take over. I embrace the pain. The agonizing scream that does not belong to me echoes in my ears, awakening me from my lost consciousness. I search for the source with wide eyes, beneath the red, murky water, but with no luck. The screaming in my ears grows louder, forcing me into action. I roll forward towards the shore desperately. My shoulders pull away from the sharp objects which cause waves of pain to scorch throughout my entire being. I fall forward into the muddy floor and push myself to the surface with my hands. I gasp greedily for air as my head breaks the surface of the water. My hands search the lake floor in front of me for any other sharp objects. I find nothing. I check the lake floor further in front of my body. Nothing. I feel a sense of relief among the torturous pain in my feet and back, and begin to slowly crawl forward towards shore. My bare hands sweep the murky lake bottom as I make my way closer to the sandy beach. It is a slow, painful process. I try not to use my feet to push my body forward, and try to limit the motion of my sliced shoulders. Still, grains of sand and filth find their way into my bleeding cuts, causing me to yelp in pain as I crawl helplessly forward, towards shore, towards help. Finally, I crawl onto shore, landing on my stomach with a heavy thud. I can hardly breathe. Every muscle in my back hurts. My feet hurt. The wounds in my body burn with a hot sensation, yet I shiver with cold. With shaky hands, I reach slowly behind my back. I feel for the cuts that I know are there. A whimper falls from my trembling lips. I cry in pain. With each shiver, my muscles spasm and blood pumps out of my body. I can feel lake dirt grinding in my wounds with each of my movements. I cry unapologetically and move forward. The blood loss from my wounds has me dizzy. So much pain. Survival instincts kick in. I must save myself. My bag is 50 yards away. In my bag is my cell phone. I can call for help. I must reach my bag. It seems so far with my injuries, but it is my only hope. Biting back the pain, I use my knees, chest, and chin to drag my body forward. Each inch I manage to move closer to my bag is agony. Waves of murky lake water splash over my wounds as the sun burns into my back. I spit out grains of sand that I've managed to inhale, but after just 10 yards, I lose consciousness. When I wake up, it is nearly nightfall. I stare towards the water for a long time, unable to move. I feel numb. I know my bag is still so far away from my reach. I know I've lost a lot of blood. I am prepared for defeat, prepared to die alone on the shore. There are no sounds. Even the waves colliding into my failing body have gone silent. Exhaling slowly, I begin to close my eyes, accepting my fate. Again, the scream awakens me. It is certainly coming from the water. It sounds painful. I stare at the calm surface of the water for a long time, expecting something to happen. But nothing does for a while. When the moon illuminates the sky, a strange ripple echoes beneath the surface of the water, capturing my attention. My eyes lock on the source of the ripple, and I watch in horror as the water begins to cyclone downwards. The water moves rapidly around the silhouette of a man-like creature. The creature climbs to the surface of the water and stares at me. He is covered in shells, seaweed, and muck. It wields 2 scimitar blades, one in each hand. His face is hidden behind an opaque green blob that resembles an egg sac. Only his black eyes are visible. I swallow hard as it stares at me from the lake with disdain. The creature's large frame blocks the moonlight from my line of vision. The light encapsulates him, as if he has always belonged there, a part of the ecosystem. Fresh blood trickles off the blades of his scimitars into the water surrounding him. The realization that it is my blood coating his blades sends my heart racing. The egg sac clinging to his face bobs up and down with the screech of his laughter. He mocks me as I lay helplessly like a filleted fish on the shoreline. "Fuck you," I yell at him. Abruptly, he stops laughing and stomps toward me aggressively. The scimitars slice through the water as he moves, cleansing them of my blood. Somehow, the expression on his blob-covered face is frightening, without any obvious features of the bone structure below. With each stomp forward, his face jiggles, his eyes narrow, his gaze zoned in on me. Those black eyes are hollow, yet full of putrid nightmare fuel. His large leather boots fall heavily as he steps onto the shore. His boots are covered in layers of muck and zebra mussels. They look old and weathered, as if they have been buried under water for centuries. The smell the boots are emitting is grotesque. The scent attacks my nostrils, and I throw up all over the creature's large boots. It kicks the mess back at me with an annoyed grunt, bubbling under the egg sac of its face. Some of the mess splashes into my fresh wounds, causing me to yelp in agony. Again, the creature laughs. Muck from its dirty boots drip over my face. My vision is blurred from the mess as I stare up at the creature begging for mercy. With a loud laugh, the creature raises both the scimitars above its head. The blades create an X in the moonlight. The creature's tattered poet shirt tightens around its biceps. It holds the heavy weapons over top of its enormous frame with ease. My pulse stops and my eyes widen. My breath feels trapped in my lungs. Water drips from the creature's soaking wet clothing. I am terrified in the silence, until finally it yells up at the gods with rage. The creature then slams the blades downward at me. The blades sink into the sand an inch from my gaze. I can see my horrified expression in the steel. I watch with defeat as the creature drops to its knees in front of me. It grabs a fistful of my hair with its algae-coated hands and yanks my head back. The creature's black eyes stare deeply into mine. Despite all my pain, all I can feel is fear. I stare into the creature's black eyes, feeling completely at its mercy. I search the creature's eyes for, well, I'm not sure what I am looking for. but I hope when I find it, the creature will take pity on me and let me live. The creature's grip on my body tightens. It shakes me violently and growls in frustration, before pulling me tightly against the egg sac on its face. My eyes are nearly touching the creature's eye, when I feel a dark drop fall from his eyes onto my bare cheek. Tears? I think to myself. Perhaps this is the humanity I was searching for. The creature tilts his head closer to me, as another dark tear falls from his eyes. These tears are unlike human tears. They don't fall from the corner of the eye. This dark tear falls from the very center of its eye. The tears are like thick oil or sludge. When they fall onto my face, it feels heavy, slimy, and I can't stop focusing on the strangeness of this. The tears drip down slowly at first, but begin dripping faster. Tear after tear of dark liquid pours onto my face from the creature's eyes. The smell is horrible, like the scent of decaying fish on the shoreline. The tears begin to obstruct my vision, blurring my sight. The tears pour into my mouth, and I am forced to swallow them as I gasp for breath. The tears are thick, thicker than honey. I wish they tasted like honey instead of the taste of rot that penetrated my taste buds. I whimper in agony, and the creature stops crying. It is only now that I notice the egg sac on its face has shrunk substantially. It was once bulbous and full. Now it lay empty across the creature's face. He throws me aside and reaches up to his own face. With force, he slowly tears an edge from the egg sac away from his face. The creature pulls slowly, peeling the egg sac away a few calculated pulls at a time. Strands of gooey skin and muscle string from the sack to the creature's face with each tug. A deep groan of pain sputters from the newly exposed mouth of the creature. Layers of skin peel off with the egg sac, showing the fleshed anatomy of a human entity. Dark blood cascades down the creature's jaw to its neck in a flow of putrid pus. For what seems like hours, I watch as the creature removes the egg sac from its face. His dark eyes dim with each tug of flesh from its body. With half the sack removed, the creature lifts a scimitar from the sand and places the blade beneath the sack. The creature grimaces and slices smoothly through the remainder of the flesh, attaching the sack to his face. The egg sac pulses heavily in his hand, like a beating heart in a freshly cracked chest. The creature stares at it with hatred before turning his gaze back to me. I lay on the beach immobilized from my own pain. The black tears covering my face have started to sting like an acid eating at my flesh. I watch in horror as the creature lowers the egg sac to my face. With precision, he lays it across my face. I try to inch away, but my body is too weak. I protest as loud as I can with my frail voice. He ignores me and presses the warm egg sac to my face. I try to scream, but the sound is muffled. Everything but my eyes is slowly covered by the egg sac. The creature presses down the edges methodically, ensuring the slimy membrane is glued down on my face. With a satisfied look, the creature leans back on his heels and wipes the dark blood off his chin. Already, his skin has started to change where the egg sac once resided. It is healing at an alarming rate. Not only healing, but it seems to be transforming. It is captivating to watch the creature begin to morph as I lay in the sand struggling to breathe beneath the sack. Even the dark eyes he possesses begin to lighten, shift, mold, into the eyes of a much more human figure. I reach up with both hands to wipe the black tears from my eyes, to make sure I am not hallucinating the shift that is happening right in front of me. The creature is changing from a monster to a human figure. I want to ask 1,000 questions, but my mouth feels numb beneath a large egg sac. My fingers trace downwards to feel the smooth, repulsive blob on my face. The creature slaps my hands away from the egg sac when I attempt to pull it off my face. With the wave of one little finger, he warns me not to touch it again. I could have watched the creature change for hours, if my thought process was not interrupted by the sensation of 1,000 sharp teeth biting my face. Beneath the egg sac, I could feel little mouths feeding hungrily on the black tears covering my skin. The little mouths clamp down on my flesh and hold their grip. I could feel their tiny tongues lap hungrily at my tears as they bite into my flesh. I panic and try to rip the egg sac off, but before my fingers can reach my face, the creature smacks me over the head with the handle of the scimitar. The last thing I remember is my face falling into the sand heavily, and the creature's dirty boots. When I wake up, I find myself lying on the beach staring up at a star-filled sky. The pain in my body and face is gone. The cold night air bites at my skin, forming goosebumps all over me. I shiver and reach towards my face, in memory of the horrible nightmare that was the creature of the lake. My fingers collide with a gooey surface, slick and smooth. The egg sac pulses against my fingertips, making me scream in horror. The vibration of my scream makes the angry monsters bite down with vigor into my flesh. My eyes widen in pain. I try to tear the egg sac off my face, but the pain is excruciating. I frantically search the dark beach for the creature. I don't find him. But I do see someone near my backpack. I try to yell for help, but again, the monsters beneath the egg sac bite into my flesh with fury. I whimper and crawl forward towards the person looking in my bag. The person doesn't seem to notice me. I race into a sprint towards the only other entity on the beach. I grab the person's arm and pull them around to look at me. Shock freezes me in place as I stare into the eyes of myself. This version of me casually pulls my backpack onto its back. On either side of this entity are the two scimitars stuck in the sandy beach. A twisted smile pulls at the lips of the person wearing my backpack. I try to speak, but the words get muffled by the egg sac. The monsters bite my face. The version of me wearing my bag waves at me silently, turns, and leaves the beach. I try to reach out to grab them, but when I do, the little monsters scream violently and gnaw at my jawbone. Tears pour down my eyes onto my hands. Black, oily tears. I hold my hands up and stare in disbelief. With shaky hands, I pull a scimitar from the ground and lift it towards my face. My reflection shows the creature from the lake. My eyes are pitch black. My once pronounced human features are now covered in a growing, bulbous egg sac. I look at the shrinking figure of myself walking down the beach and understand. I am no longer me. I am him. When the creature disguised as me reaches the boardwalk, he turns and looks at me. He smiles, waves, and steps out of view, eerily heading in the direction of my family home. I grieve, sobbing quietly. The monsters beneath the egg sac lick hungrily at my oily tears. I drop the scimitar heavily onto the beach and collapse to my knees. I notice beneath the scimitar, still stuck in the beach, there are two pieces of parchment paper rolled up and tied with ribbon. One ribbon is orange, the other is purple. I wipe my tears on the back of my shirt sleeve and pull the parchment paper free of the scimitar blade. With haste, I pull at the purple ribbon and unroll the parchment paper. As the words reveal themselves, the parchment paper ripped in orange ribbon dissipates into thin air, as if it never really existed. I begin to sweat with panic, realizing I had a choice between one parchment or the other. I close my eyes tightly, trying to compose myself, and then unravel the parchment. It reads, "The curse of Crimson Lake is yours. For the next 100 years, you will house the egg sac creature, protect the creature, and feed the creature. Those who visit Crimson Lake and utter the words, 'Wouldn't it be scary if,' are those who offer themselves to be feasted upon. Thank you for your service, you damned soul." In smaller print near the bottom of the parchment read, The curse may be transferred to another if they cut themselves upon your blade in an act of their own. My heart pounds beneath my chest as I read the words over and over. My black tears fall fast, splattering down onto the parchment and rendering the words illegible. I wipe the dark tears off onto my sleeve, only to realize I am now dressed in the creature's poet's shirt. I drop the note and scramble backwards away from the scimitars. I shake my head violently, while struggling to peel the egg sac off my face. The little monsters bite down harder, making me shake in agony. In the reflection of the blades, I see myself. The egg sac is larger now, the little mouths filling it with my oily tears. It covers the entirety of my face now, except for my dark black eyes. My black tears have stained the white poet's shirt. I'm wearing muck-covered boots and tattered slacks. I am horrifying. All of the individuality I once held has been stripped and replaced with the creature. He is me. I am him. I feel like I may throw up, but a series of little voices coming from the egg sac tell me I better not. For some reason, the nausea subsides at the order of the little voices. The voices then encourage me to go into the lake. I listen without question, blindly following the voices' instruction. The little voices tell me to walk deeper into the lake, until I am completely submerged. I oblige. Beneath the weight of the water, the egg sac provides me with oxygen to breathe. The little mouths release their deep bites on my face ever so slightly, rewarding me for my servitude. The scimitars are in my fists. I don't remember picking them up. In unison, the thousands of mouths hum a majestic melody that forces me into a sleep-like trance. I lay down on the muck bottom of the lake and stare upwards towards the surface with my dark eyes. The mouths continue to hum, keeping me locked in a sleep-fueled state. I am helpless. My body feels at peace as the little voices hum. It is only now that I realize the cuts on my feet and shoulders no longer hurt. And I bet if I were to examine the wounds, they would be completely healed. I wonder to myself if the creature clinging to my face has healed me. It shocks me when I feel the little monsters gnawing their sharp teeth against my skin, as if saying yes. I thank them for healing me, and lay back into the lake floor. There I laid for months, being slowly covered by sediment and algae. The little monster mouths occasionally took bites of my face to satisfy their hunger, as we waited for our first meal together. After feasting on me, the little creatures would then heal me while humming methodically. It really hurts when they bite. The 1,000 mouths of the creature bite at once, taking chunks out of my jaw, cheeks, chin, nose, and neck. I can feel my blood pouring into their greedy mouths. They thank me for quenching their thirst and hunger. A while later, when they wake up after their snack nap, they will heal me, allowing me a few days to lay dormant until they grow hungry again. There have been no sacrifices to hunt for my monsters yet. I hope someone comes along soon. Laying here on the lake bottom and getting eaten is getting old. Many visit the lake. Blissfully unaware I am cursed and lulled into a sleep-like trance beneath their swimming bodies. Seasons come and go, but not one steps on my blades or says those cursed words. The little monsters sing to me and keep me subdued beneath the weight of the lake water. I sleep in a hibernation state, awoken only by the biting sensation of the monsters, until one sunny summer day, when a large floating tube casts a shadow over top of me. The tube blocks the sun from beaming down on me. It is a large circular tube, pink and purple, with 2 humans inside of it. I don't try screaming because I know it won't make a difference. I've spent enough time with the monsters to learn I will be punished if I try. I watch closely as the couple let their limbs hang over the edge of their tubes lazily. their fingers and toes playing with the surface of the water. The woman has beautifully manicured nails that sparkle beneath the water when her toes dive beneath the surface. The male is less polished and kicks his feet heavily at the water, making large splashes. The two float for over an hour, flirting with one another as the sun bakes them slowly. I begin to grow bored of their company when the woman says to the man, "Wouldn't it be scary if sharks lived in the lake and attacked us, like in Jaws?" The little mouths scream in unison against my face. It takes me a moment to realize what they are saying, but when I do, my eyes widen. The thousand mouths are chanting, "Scary." Everything inside my body begins to feel wrong. My arms painfully shorten, my legs too. My spine twists inside of me. It hurts not only me, but the egg sac too. We all scream as my body twists and convulses. I grow gills along the side of my neck. A large tail replaces my feet, legs, and hips. My body stretches and grows until I take the form of a great white shark. The egg sac fills my mouth as I transform, becoming the mouth of the great white shark. The thousand little monsters create the shark's rows of teeth, all of them hungry and ready to eat. I swallow hard as the pain washes through me. I look up through my dark eyes at the young couple floating above me. I want to save them, warn them, something. The little mouths grunt in one orchestrated tune, feast on their flesh. It's too late now. I do as I am told and swim rapidly up to the surface. The woman is who I attack first, biting and tearing at her right leg until it is free from her body. Their screams tug at the human consciousness left in me, but the little mouths tell me to feed more. They are starving. With my many rows of teeth, I spend the next hour devouring the couple, ripping body part after body part from their torsos. When I finish feasting, the only thing left of them is their crimson-colored blood staining the lake. The little mouths begin to hum again, satisfied with their meal. I swim to the bottom of the lake, and my body slowly transforms back into my human state, with the egg sac covering my face once again. The little voices thank me for my service and sing me back to a sleep-like trance. I stare up at the stained red lake water and watch and marvel as their blood moves with the waves. My stomach looks like a beer gut, full of the meal I just devoured. I can taste their copper-flavored blood on my tongue. It repulses me. The little mouths tell me to hush and coo me into a sedated state. Sometimes I wonder what happened to the creature who inhabited my body. Did he take over living my life? Or disappear into the wind? If the creature did return to my home, were my parents able to tell that it wasn't really me? What will happen to me in 100 years when the curse is broken? Who will I become? What will I be? If it is broken earlier by some poor soul, will I be able to return to my life? These thoughts stir in me now and then, when the little creatures fall asleep after a big feast. It isn't long before they wake up to hush me and tell me to sleep. They like to remind me that worries like that are for those who are not serving a higher purpose. Worries like that are not for the damned. From what I understand, this is my curse. To lay here beneath the lake water until I am freed or the curse ends. The little mouths are my master, and I their vessel to control. This is the curse of Crimson Lake. My curse. A small fishing boat glides across the water above me. I hear a young fisherman ask the captain if there are any leeches in the water. The captain replies with a hearty, "Oh, good heavens, no." The young fisherman replies, "Wouldn't it be scary if there were giant leeches that latched onto you and drank you dry in minutes?" The captain laughed along with him. The monsters in me began to scream. It is time to feast.
Become a channel member today for early access, bonus videos, and special emojis only available to members. Check out the description below or click the join button for more info. If you'd like another way to help support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon page at patreon.com/JordanGroupeHorror. As a patron, you'll get access to bonus videos and content. You'll be credited at the end of every video going forward, and if you decide to stay for 3 months, I'll name a character after you which will be featured in a Hollow's End story. Links to join the Patreon are in the description. Thanks everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel continue to grow, and see you again next time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you have a great night.